head designer of Kristell Interiors. And today is our Designer Tip Tuesday video. We have a video every week. Check out our Instagram page at Kristell_interiors so that you get your tip every week, whether it's in a picture format or in a video format. But anyways, let's jump into today's tip, which is specifying paint. Let me pull this from my little thumbnail. Hold it, please. We will be discussing how to choose the right paint color, choose the right paint finish, which is different from color, and then lastly, figure out how to specify the amount of paint that you will need for your room. So let's jump into it. I hope you guys like this video. Give it a thumbs up now if you're already feeling it, and also don't forget to subscribe down below. Okay, so the very first thing that you do when you're renovating a new room or revamping a new room is you figure out what kind of paint you want to use. And that's of course if you're not planning to use wallpaper or any other type of material. What I recommend is first figure out what you're leaning towards, whether that be a neutral paint or a colorful paint. And that can help narrow down, cut your selections down in half, first of all. So let's just say, for example, we want to do a neutral paint. So you would go over to the neutral section, or if you have a fan deck, if you're working with a designer, they will probably have a few of these already pre-selected for you, just grouped. So they have essential colors, which are like the black, the white, and the grays. Then you have fundamentally neutral. Mind you, I'm using a Sherwin-Williams paint deck, so each brand is going to have a different name for their little group of paints, but this one is sorted this way, which makes it super easy. So you have your fundamentally neutral paints, which are the more beiges, the browns, even some colors like the blues and purples. However, they're more muted, so they look more neutral. And then they obviously have color options, which, as you can see, this section is huge compared to the other sections. And then in the very end, you have your energetic brights, and they are very bright. So I'm gonna give an example. Let's say, for instance, that these curtains are actually the rug that you have. You want to make sure you have your main color pieces in your home already ordered, because once you find something that you love in the color that you love and in the price point that you can afford, then you want to hop on that and choose your paint after you already purchased all of that. Because as you can see, there's an infinite amount of paint colors. You will always be able to find something to match your furnishings, but you can't do that the other way around. You cannot find furnishings to match your paint color. You can, but it's going to make things much more difficult. So instead, I would recommend that you choose your furnishings and accessories and colorful things that are going to lead your palette, and then come to the paint section. So I'm just going to use this as an example. Let's say this is the color of my rug, and I want to match some paint to that. So what you would do is, if you can, I would highly recommend you bring into the paint stores your curtains, or if it's a rug, some rugs, I know the manufacturers may offer samples for the rug. So if you could bring in a sample of the rug, or bring in the actual curtain, anything, into the store to compare color, highly recommend that. But if not, you can always go into the paint store and take some swatches home, and then bring them home to compare to your curtains or rug or accessory. So I'm going to use this as an example, and we're going to choose a blue that matches this, because this is what our accent color is going to be. This is what we're trying to get close to, and it may not be perfect, but it's just the right color family that we're trying to get into. So let's see. Okay, so as you can see, these are blue greens. So we're gonna open this, we're gonna open this, and you can kind of see the colors in comparison to the curtains. So just by looking at this, I can clearly see that this color way is the closest to this. You can see almost somewhere between these two shades. I think this one might be almost perfect. So you can see that this shade here, which is Lagoon, Sherwin-Williams 6480, this shade matches almost perfectly with the curtains. So with our rug, I'm sorry, I forgot this is a fake project. This shade matches with our rug perfectly. So from there you can decide, okay, I know that this family is a good match for my curtains. So do I want to go dark and bold and put an exact match on our walls? Or do we want to go with something a little muted, a little lighter, and maybe come up to here to Watery, which is Sherwin-Williams 6478. And then this way, you know that this color family all goes together. However, it's going to be a little lighter color that still coordinates with this. Let's say, okay, perfect. We found our color, we found Watery, and this is what we want to use. I would recommend that you choose maybe one or two other shades, higher and lower from Watery, and bring samples into your home. And these little swatches are so tiny, you can't get a real full effect, especially a designer could, but a regular person that hasn't experienced paint much, you can't just get a full effect of what the color is going to be just off of a little swatch. So I would recommend taking samples home, at least 3. So find the one that you like, maybe one above, maybe one below, and bring those samples home. They even sell little paint samples nowadays in a little jar, and you can take them home and paint them on your wall, and paint a substantial size, like maybe 1 foot by 1 foot, or something just large enough so that you can get a better idea of what this color is going to be. And so once you paint them, I do not recommend that you paint them touching each other, because then you're going to compare this color to this color instead of looking at the color in the room by itself. So paint them apart from each other and decide that way, because one, the color is going to look completely different than what it did in the store with artificial lighting. And then also you have to take into consideration your lighting. So like if you have recessed lighting in your home or something, depending on the color temperature of your light bulbs, that can affect the color as well. So if you have a really warm light bulb, that would change the color of your paint versus a more bright, cool light. So once you get those steps done and you choose your favorite paint color in your home, in the room that it's going to be in, then you can make your decision, obviously, and paint it. But let's rewind, right? So you can't just paint it. The next step is selecting your finish. Okay, so with the finishes, you start off with your very flat paint finish. So obviously these are in shades of gray, but it's going to be in your color. This is just meant to be as a representation of the finish, which is like the sheen, but some have more shine than others. So the most dull and the word is flat. The most flat paint you can get is flat, and that's up here at the top. Then it goes to flat enamel matte. Then it goes to satin and eggshell, which I know most of us are familiar with. Low sheen enamel, low luster, semi-gloss, which is another popular one. And then medium luster gloss, and then high gloss, which is pretty popular too. I think the high gloss, the semi-gloss, the satin eggshell are the most popular, and then obviously flat for some rare cases. So, which one do we choose for what? Well, honestly, the choice is completely up to you. However, it's recommended that you use a high gloss or at least a semi-gloss, but they really recommend one of these like semi, medium luster, or high gloss on all of your trim. So the baseboards, a chair rail, crown molding, those type of things will get the more shiny glosses. And like for example, a baseboard, with a baseboard, you're constantly kicking it, or a door swinging and hitting it, or anything of that nature. So that is going to get the most wear. So the finishes with a more glossy look to it and texture are more slip resistant, so they allow scuffs and things that might be applied onto them wipe off because it's slippery. So if you get a little black mark, you can most likely just rub it off, and it's much better for like high traffic areas. Whereas the flat paint, if you get a scuff on that, it's going to be very difficult to try to wipe something like that off. The most popular paint that people usually choose is like a semi-gloss or a satin eggshell. So the satin eggshell and the semi-gloss are able to be wiped down still. Obviously not as easy as the high gloss, but sorry if I'm looking down, guys. Lola's down here playing. So flat paints or the flat enamel matte paint are different finishes that you might use like on a ceiling, for example, because of the light fixtures. So with a high gloss, like I said, it's very reflective, so you might get more glares from the ceiling reflecting the light. You have a higher gloss paint. So these are typically finishes that you use for your ceiling paint. And then also flat and flat enamel matte paint could be used on walls that have imperfections because they disguise them and hide them. Anything with a slight, it could be a little bend, and you're gonna see it like dramatically if you have a more glossier paint finish. I think that's it, guys, as far as the finishes and paint colors are concerned. But now we need to figure out how much paint do I need to order. I'm out of breath. Lola's over here playing and distracting me. Okay. What was I saying? So, come on. Come on. Alright, you're being a crazy girl. It wouldn't be a Kristell Interiors video without my baby girl. So say hi, Lola girl. I can't speak, that's a tongue twister. Okay. So, what's that? I'm gonna show them some tricks. Okay, give me 5. Give me 5. Give me 5. Give me 5. Hey y'all. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, you guys are probably like, Chalice, you are stressing me out right now. I picked out my paint color, I painted my walls, I had to go back, pick out my paint finish, and now you're telling me I need to figure out how much paint I need to calculate? Yes. Okay. Another burp, oh my gosh, I'm dirty.